Now Farad tries to give him some breathing room, and he's going to take a shot deep downfield, and open is Bernard Berrien, and the former Bear will go 99 yards for a touchdown.
Manning on 3rd and 10. He fires, and the catch is made by Cruz, who breaks free. One man to beat. Victor Cruz down the sideline. 99 yards from Manning to Cruz.
Wes Welker pulling away, and he ties an NFL record with a 99-yard touchdown.
Andre Davis, and Davis will score 99 yards. Wow.
Hello and welcome to 99 Yards, American football for UK fans. My name is Liz Fox and I am joined once again by Kadeen Simmons and Jonathan Payton. How are you both?
I'm not too bad, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How about you, Jono?
Yeah, pretty good. Although I was expecting to hear the intro that I crafted.
Well, you
so
will hear that.
beautifully on Monday. Are you going to stick it in afterwards?
Yeah, it's there. It's right before we're talking.
It happened, did it? It was great. Yeah,
it was wonderful.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Al Michaels, Gus Johnson, brilliant. Well done.
So I wanted to start the show with the news of Kevin Cadle's passing. It was announced on Monday morning that he had passed away. Obviously a huge shock to both the NFL and basketball communities. I saw it pop up on Twitter, and to be honest, I just couldn't believe it. I sat at my desk and I was just in shock, had a little cry, because honestly it was the saddest thing. It's hard to lose anyone, but Kevin's always been really supportive of me, the NFL Girl UK blog, and when I first met him, probably around this time 3 years ago, he was just such a lovely person. So it's a huge loss, and he'll be truly missed. The tributes that have gone out about him are just lovely, and it's been amazing to hear so many lovely stories.
Yeah, I think the overriding sense you get from people that have met him, like you and a lot of the guys in the media that have worked with him and fans that have met him at fan events and stuff, is just what a big character but nice bloke he was.
Yeah.
No ego at all, just sort of had this big heart and big love for sport. I think it was about around the sort of year 2000 maybe that he started doing the presenting for NFL and Sky Sports. And for about 10 years, it was him and Nick Halling that really were sort of the face of the sport in this country. He was never the most polished presenter, but I don't think it really mattered. It was sort of more of a Sunday night, almost cult program on Sky Sports at the time. It was pre the Wembley games, and his sort of him and Nick Halling really were the guys that brought the sport into your living room. It was really quite sad, and he didn't look 62 at all. Even just hearing his age was a surprise. But listening to Mike Carlson on that show yesterday, it was even like his passing at the weekend is a really sad story behind it. The way he apparently went to hospital over the weekend, went to A&E. They sent him home. I think they didn't diagnose quite what he had and stuff. And then Sunday evening, he was waiting over an hour for an ambulance. By the time he got into hospital, it was too late. I think they said it was sepsis or it was kidney infection or something. So, really sad the way it happened. But yeah, I mean, just goes to show the mark of the man, how many tributes have come out from all parts of the media, and even Bruce Arians today mentioned it, didn't he, in his press conference? Yeah. Very sad. Very sad.
Yeah, definitely.
I only met him once, and it was quite strange. I met him a few weeks ago. I was at Hippodrome with a friend, and I saw him in the distance, and I was like, that looks like Kevin Cadle, but I'm not too sure. And then he kind of walked over, and at this point I've been staring at him for way too long. So he kind of like gave me a funny look and was like, hello, and I was like, oh, hi. And that was it, really. And my friend said, you're going to get a picture? And I was like, oh, no, I think, he's always at events and stuff like that. I'm sure I'll see him again and, grab a picture next time. And yeah, and I was like, oh, crap. Like, and obviously, his family and stuff like that are a lot more devastated than I am. But it's one of them things that you never know what's around the corner. And me just saying, I'll get a picture of him next time I see him at an event, there was no next time. And it's horrible.
I think what Kev was he was a real sort of like authentic, fun face of the NFL, and it was I don't quite know what happened at Sky over the last 2 years and how he was sort of phased out. I don't know if that was his personal sort of desire just to sort of stop the presenting so much, or whether they wanted someone who was a bit more slicker, or quite what it was. But he, with a lot of stuff that comes from sort of Sky, NFL UK, there's a veneer of PR and marketing. He wasn't like that at all, was he? He was sort of like just an authentic guy who just loved it. And sort of that's what I remember him for more than anything, really.
Yeah, if anything, he was just probably the most passionate person when it came to talking about the game, and I think that's what I kind of liked about him. I mean, I was I was new to when I watched this game, so he was the first thing I saw talking about it, and he was just, the way he came across, it was fun, like you say.
No, definitely. It's kind of, everyone said it already, but he's going to be a huge loss to NFL UK and the sport in general. Yeah,
definitely, I agree. And as well, so I understand that on Sunday, obviously with the NFL returning to London for the third game, that there's going to be a tribute at the game for him. So I think that'll be a really, really nice way to honour him as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think someone put on Twitter, maybe going forward from next year, at the international game, the player of the match could be like the Kevin Cadle MVP or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Just something to kind of, show the international fans and UK fans how big a part of the UK game he was, and I think that'd be a really, really nice touch.
Yeah,
I haven't seen so many retweets and likes and stuff about like the NFL or American football in this country.
Yeah,
ever. I think the NFL UK go around, chase around Harry Kane to try and get him doing field goals, all this sort of stuff. But actually, the outpouring of people's thoughts and sadness to Kevin passing sort of seems to be so much bigger than anything that NFL UK try and put out there to market the game. It's like really did sort of shows the breadth of the country that he appealed to, and people remember him. So it's great.
Yeah, definitely. I think it affected a lot of us in ways you probably thought it wouldn't. And just, like you say, the amount of people who've gone on Twitter and, shared their wishes and that kind of thing, I think it just goes to show how much of an impact he actually had.
Yeah.
So, for the rest of this podcast, we're going to be discussing more about the London game, injury woes across the league, and of course some quick predictions ahead of the games on Sunday. As you all know, this weekend the NFL returns to London, and it's the Cardinals who are 3-3. They're facing their divisional rivals, the Los Angeles Rams, who are currently looking strong at 4-2. The Cardinals have been joined by Adrian Peterson, who, funny enough, is in London for the second time this season. And what is crazy is that his first game for Cardinals is no doubt the best of his season so far. He carried the ball 26 times for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns to help Arizona to a 38-33 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do you think they'll have a similar impact in this weekend's game? And what are your overall thoughts and predictions?
I'm not too sure. It's a weird one. I think no one expected him to do that well. At the same time, it is AP, and he's kind of proved time and time again, write him off at your own peril, I guess. So I think he could, I'm going to say he'll have a similar impact, maybe even 2 touchdowns this week again. So I'm expecting a big game from AP.
I think the Rams might shut him down. I think the Rams' defense is a work in progress this season. The Wade Phillips, they've actually got one of the worst run defenses, stats-wise, yards-wise, so far this season. But actually, in the last 2 games, if you take away Fournette's 75-yard run, whatever it was, last weekend, they pretty much stifled the Seahawks and Jaguars running games. So I think with that defensive front of Hayes, Robert Quinn, Aaron Donald, what's his name? The old Eagles guy as well. I can't find his name. His name escapes me at the moment. That's quite a hard unit to shift. Connor Barwin. So I've got a feeling that they're going to be able to stifle the Arizona run game. I think it's going to be a bit of a Carson Palmer show if the Cardinals are going to get anything out of this game. But I think it's going to be the best of the 4 London games this year. So I'm really looking forward to it. But having said that, I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be watching the Dolphins Jets probably, but yeah, it'll be a good game to catch up on. Put it that way, but yeah.
I wish I was watching Dolphins Jets as a Dolphins fan, but I will be at the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I just realised that obviously, Kadeem, you're a Dolphins fan, and Johnny, you're a Jets fan. So you're facing each other this week.
Without going too far off topic, I didn't expect to lose the first Jets game, and if we lose the second one, I might not be on a podcast next week, and you will know exactly why. So, no offense or anything.
I thought, the Dolphins came into that Jets game with a lot of baggage. Having the hurricane and then having to go out in California and play in the second week, and they're back on track a little bit last week. I mean, they were quite lucky they had a bad Titans team after the Saints game to get back on track.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just really hard. We'll talk about it a bit later, but it's so hard to call these games at the moment. Everyone is so mediocre. Teams look good for a quarter, and then the next quarter they can't move the ball. They're letting yards and points all over the place. So I can't call the game. The Jets Dolphins. It's in Miami. The Jets aren't great against the run. Jai looks like he might have got over his knee problems. I'd probably give it a slight Dolphins edge, but
don't jinx us.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. But yeah. But Brian Baldy came out today, I think, in one of the New York newspapers, just saying how Mo Wilkerson is just completely faxing it in at the moment. He's just not even trying.
Oh,
wow. He's got his big contract. Yeah, and they're saying that's why Leo Williams has that little to no production. Like Mo Wilkerson hasn't even knocked down the quarterback this year. Never mind getting a sack. I know he's supposed to have a shoulder injury, but yeah, there's a lot of. I think it's like Mike McCagnon's worst mistakes since he's been at the Jets, giving Wilkerson such a massive deal. But yeah. Anyway, back to Twickenham.
Yes. Sorry about that. You get a Dolphins Jets fans on here, man. You take over the podcast. Apologies.
Yeah. I think the Rams might do it. I know they're coming over later on. The Cardinals are already here. The Rams are coming over on Friday, so that's leaving it quite late. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work with them coming all the way from California and settling in that time. It's quite strange, but I think, I think Goff just played against probably the best secondary in the league in the Jaguars, and he was fairly restricted there, but against the Cardinals defense, Gurley, I think the Rams could do enough. I don't think the Cardinals are quite consistent enough themselves to pull out another win. I think I'm going to go Rams edge it.
I'm going to go Cardinals just to be different.
Yeah,
that's a great reason. It's a great reason.
I'm with you. I'm going to go Cardinals on that one. I actually think it's going to be a bit of an upset as well. So we'll see. So this season so far seems pretty brutal for injuries, with some of them actually having ended the season for a number of players, such as Odell Beckham, who's out of a fractured foot, JJ Watt, who's out with a tibial plateau fracture, forgive my pronunciation. Now this is actually JJ Watt's second season-ending injury, and he's still so young in his career, so that's pretty scary to think. And it's also thought that even Aaron Rodgers could be done for the season after breaking his collarbone for the second time. It seems to me that the NFL's injury problem is worse than it's ever been. Do you think there's anything that can be done to reduce this kind of thing happening?
Not really, unless you want to play flag football. As the trainers were barely out to Aaron Rodgers on Sunday when you just knew there was going to be a bunch of Monday pieces written about whether we should protect the quarterbacks even more, make them like kickers and punters. But it's not just quarterbacks, it's JJ Watt. It's Odell Beckham. I think one of the things they could do, which would help, is just to ban field turf. I know that some of these injuries have happened on proper grass, but JJ Watt's happened on field turf. Aaron Rodgers fell to the ground on field turf. It's sort of part and parcel of the NFL, unfortunately. Players are getting bigger and stronger and faster. That's another problem, through whatever means, whether it's diet or other means. Who knows? But I don't think you can. I don't think you can try and talk about making the game safer. But it's harder to make the game safer injury-wise without just changing the whole concept of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I think in some ways, you know, players have got to look after themselves a bit more as well, especially quarterbacks. You know, one of my biggest bugbears is people that just want protection after protection after protection for quarterbacks. It just starts ruining the game. You know, the slide rule was brought in so that quarterbacks give themselves up during a play, you know, and not be hit. But it ends up being abused, like Cam Newton last week against the Eagles, for example, where he's running for a first down, or he's running to get as many yards as possible, and he doesn't dive to give himself up. He does dive to give himself up, but he dives, you know, at the last possible minute to gain the extra half yard, diving straight at the defender's feet. Then when he gets slightly touched, he's sort of like making a big deal about it, you know. But you dive, like, give yourself up sooner. Don't. The rules never brought in for you to get the last extra yard. The rules brought in so you could take care of yourself. And it's a bit like Rodgers as well, you know. Obviously, you know, he's such a great competitor. He's going to try and give himself the last possible second to make a completion. But the danger is you're going to get whacked if you don't let go of the ball in enough time. So it's one of those things. Is it more than ever, or is it just we've got social media and NFL's in our face constantly?
Maybe.
Is it because the backup players actually aren't at the level they used to be because there's not enough practice time? College football's not readying players for the NFL as well as they were before, and that makes it feel worse. So you're getting another big massive mediocrity. I don't know, but I don't think there's anything you can do really. It's just is what it is. It's a contact sport. You know, they're even saying the same in rugby. There seems to be a load of injuries as well. So I don't know. Maybe it's partly to do with the training as well. It's just, it is what it is.
Or maybe it's like you say. Maybe it's just because everything's so accessible to us nowadays that we're just highlighting it more than we ever would have in the past.
You know, look at the Boston Celtics play yesterday, Hayward.
Oh, you took my point.
Sorry, shut up.
I was waiting to say no. It's my point was literally going to be it's sport. You know, 5 minutes into a new NBA season, player jumps up for a rebound, lands and breaks his ankle. That's him probably done for the season.
You know, and that's a sport where they've taken every last ounce of physicality out of it. You know, that is the ultimate. We want to protect the superstars. We want as much point scoring as possible. You are not allowed to touch anyone to try and stop them scoring. Sorry, continue.
No, it's true. Like, it's as long as there's a sport and someone is moving, someone's going to get hurt. You know, you could twist your ankle, and that's, you know, high ankle sprain and stuff like that. So there's no way you can make the NFL safer unless it's played on PS4 and Xbox in Madden. That's the only way you make it safe and no one gets hurt. It does seem quite like the quote unquote big stars are getting hurt, but there's normally most seasons, you know. Look at how long Luke Kuechly was out for last season. Cam Newton gets injured, you know. Andrew Luck's been injured for God knows how long. The Tom Brady missed the season as well. You can't help these big stars getting injured. I think the league I say this quite harshly, the league crying about big stars getting injured. It's like, well, you don't get the same kind of media frenzy, or people don't care so much when it's a backup getting injured, or, you know, it's a 7th round pick getting injured. You know, when Raekwon McMillan went down for the Dolphins in preseason, no one really batted an eyelid, and yet that's a rookie who filled in on special teams. Someone accidentally touches him, and his leg basically blows up. So no one really cared when that happened, and yet, like Jono said, when Aaron Rodgers tries to gain that extra split second to try and get the pass away, gets tackled fairly, goes down hurt, you know, all of a sudden it's, oh, let's protect our quarterbacks, where, I don't know, you know, it's a weird one. You can't stop injuries. Maybe it's just a really bad luck with this season with your JJ Watt, Clowney, Rodgers, Odell Beckham going down, but people go down every single season and no one seems to care.
Another thing I get slightly wound up with sort of related to this is how people watch replay and they're just judging intent by watching this slow motion replay. You know, it's such a fast sport. Alex Smith is right in having a moan about the Steelers' defensive back rolling in on his legs. That was late, but Barr's hit on Rodgers is totally in the spirit of the game. It wasn't dirty at all. It shouldn't have been flagged. And it wasn't. That winds me up as well. People are just so obsessed with trying to protect players all the time. But
yeah, again, as a Dolphins fan, when Tannehill went down last season, took for a really bad knee injury, the next day no one was talking about protecting quarterbacks. Okay, Calais Campbell went low and took him out for the rest of the year, but no one cared. And if anything, people they've done the Dolphins a favour because now they can bring in someone better and. No one said anything.
Yeah, but as soon as Brady gets hit from behind a bit near his knee and stuff, they bring in a new rule.
Yeah,
and it was off the back of Carson Palmer as well, happening to hit him in the playoffs. But
wasn't
yeah, it's a bit.
So though, when the Dolphins played the Jets last year, and I think it's Sue and Wake rush the edges, and the offensive line doesn't move, and is it Bryce Petty they squash? No.
Yeah.
That was such a brutal hit. Again, there was no call to protect the quarterback or anything like that, and everyone saw that. It was it's one of those tackles where you kind of have to wince and just pray the person's okay. He got up, a bit gingerly, but I don't remember anyone saying should we protect quarterbacks and stuff like that. So it's a massive shame that Rodgers has gone down, but let's be honest, there's not much more you can do about it.
Yeah.
I actually see some of the hits that Russell Wilson takes and Tom Brady's taken this year, and actually I'm amazed they don't get injured more.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a good point there.
Eli Manning gets hit over and over again, week in, week out. He's never called in for more protection because it's part of the game. If you're standing there with a ball in your hand and the defender's job is to try and tackle you, occasionally you might get hurt. Unless it's a really, really dirty hit. If you get injured on a play, it's normally accidental.
Yeah. And then even without injuries, there are teams that are not performing how they should be. So we're 6 weeks into the season now. No one's unbeaten. Only teams have one loss. And everyone else has lost at least 33% of the game so far. What's that about?
It's about mediocrity. It's probably about teams not having enough time to train, to practice. I'm struggling watching some of the games. I try and watch about 5 or 6 full games every week. I was sitting there watching the Colts and Titans Monday night football game, and it's just deathly boring. What I find is a lot of teams just don't even have any character. There's no personality to these teams. I'm just sort of watching them with running similar offenses, with a short shotgun, short passing game, running game out of the shotgun. It doesn't look particularly very nice. A lot of the teams you think, we've got quite a good defense. Then it sort of gets to the fourth quarter and it's like kryptonite, and they just seem to let in every drive ends in a touchdown. It's a strange one, and this is sort of how it's been building over the last few years. And people are saying, this is unusual. This is like more mediocre than most seasons. But I feel like everyone's had this conversation for the last 5 or 6 years. But I remember when Super Bowl 40, when it was Super Bowl 40, and the NFL started to do that, America's Game series, and they launched a series in America. I think it might have been probably was an NFL Network, but they launched it by counting down from 20 to 1 the best Super Bowl teams. A poll or some writers were thinking who were the best 20 Super Bowl teams of the Super Bowl era. And they counted down, and I'm sure, I can't remember exactly who it was, but I think the 85 Bears were up there, the 1989 49ers were there, the unbeaten Dolphins were there, of course, Kadeen.
Thank you very much.
But I've thought about this the last few years. I just can't think of any team in the last 15 years that would come close to being in the top 20 Super Bowl era teams of all time. And a lot of it is to do with the salary cap and how people spend the salary cap. Maybe the 2013 Seahawks, was it that year they beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl? Was it 2013 Seahawks? Just because their defense was so good, and their running game was pretty good, and Wilson was sort of like could supplement it enough. You think maybe the Seahawks, but any other team, maybe the 2007 Patriots, but they don't count because they didn't actually win it. I can't really think of any other team in that time that would come close to being in the top 20 of the last 50 years Super Bowl winners, quality team. And part of sport is about greatness, and the NFL lauds its mediocrity and how the parity. Any given Sunday, and Goodell's always up there, like he was at the Rams Giants on stage at Twickenham last year, like shouting from the rooftops again about how last season it was the closest, like 80% of games were within a 1 score decided game, which is great, but that just means you're just celebrating mediocrity, and without, what is sport without greatness? What is cricket without the Australian team of the 90s, early 2000s, or rugby league without the Wigan team of the 90s, Liz, or both of you, the Man U teams of the late 90s, early 2000s.
I was going to say, if you don't mention United and Ferguson, we're going to have a massive fight right now.
But that part of sport is like watching and celebrating greatness. The Golden State Warriors, just watching them going, well, this is sort of like a once in a lifetime thing, seeing this amazing team. And the NFL is so built against that being able to happen now with the salary cap and the way a lot of the strategy of the offense and defense seems to be in the rules. I don't know. I just want to see some brilliance beyond. Oh, this was a good catch. This was a good thing. I want to see a domination, and it's just I just don't really see it at all at the moment. And I can't help. And just watching this week after week, and no one can predict games. I'm just sitting there thinking, this is like a perfect season for the Patriots and the Seahawks, who are just going to get it together a bit at the end of the season, and then end up in the Super Bowl.
Hopefully,
because they've probably got the two best coaches. They've got enough talent in there.
And the two best. Come on.
But I don't know. I feel a bit underwhelmed by the whole thing at the moment. I want to see brilliance week to week, not a team that has a good quarter here and there.
Yeah.
And a bad quarter here and there. Anyway, rant over.
No, it's fine. I think if you look at the San Francisco 49ers and their defeat so far, they've been by 2 or 3 points, and I think that's what you're kind of getting at. It's people. Okay, you could say they've been in really, really close games, but at the same time, this is a really, really bad team. And how are they being able to stay in games for so long?
Yeah.
It's quite bad. I say quite bad. It's very bad. They've lost by, I'm looking at it now, 3 points, 2 points, 3 points, 3 points, 2 points, and this is meant to be a really, really bad 49ers team.
Yeah.
John, no offense, you're a Jets. Everyone was looking at them going, this could be a 16 season.
Yeah.
And what's in that? Was it 3-2?
Look at the squads. Yeah. 3-3. But look at the roster.
I think the
absolutely
only team kind of living up to their billing of being a bad team are the Browns. And everyone said the Browns will be a better team this season because they have some, a new offensive line, Myles Garrett, and yet they are just completely thinking up the whole league. And you can't explain why it becomes so bang average. And I think, like you said, the NFL website or Twitter handle, when the NFL UK Twitter handle, they're so, what they care about is these highlight moments, oh my day, did you see that catch? Did you see that run? Did you see that spin move? See that hurdle? And it's like, they're having to do that because they can't turn around and say, did you see that game? Because there's barely any game which makes you go, oh my God, what an absolute brilliant spectacle you just watched.
I think that's why so many people are watching Red Zone. Every week, more people watch Red Zone on Sky than watch the games. Yeah. I don't just think it's people don't want to watch Neil Reynolds. I think they generally, it's almost become a bit of like a highlight sport. And I think it was about 5 years ago when I sort of started thinking, is something sort of up with the NFL when I watched in about a 2 minute end of the fourth quarter drive by Dan Orlovsky I think it was for the Lions, and he led the team down the field for a game-winning touchdown. And I thought, wow, like this from 1986-97 when John Elway led the Broncos on this famous drive, which took over 5 minutes. Suddenly now, it's sort of a quarterback can lead a team down the field under 2 minutes, who's seen as a bit of a poor to joke quarterback as part for his career. I don't know. It's just bizarre. It's just. I don't know. It's just really sort of quite hard to sort of see beyond a sea of mediocrity, beyond championing individual players and stuff. It's very so week to week the season.
Yeah, I think when the Cowboys played the Packers and the Cowboys gave Aaron Rodgers 1 minute 31 seconds to drive down the field, that's Aaron Rodgers, totally fine. But the way the league is really set up, the mediocrity of it, you could imagine Johnny Manziel, and I do mean Johnny Manziel in 2017, who hasn't played since God knows when, being able to take a team, drive down the field in 1 minute 31 seconds and score a touchdown. Now, but
then for the next 50 minutes, for the first 50 minutes of the game, you'd be throwing like 3-yard screens and actually getting nowhere. It's like it seems to be happened so much that you watch these games that are like going to the fourth quarter and they're like 12-9, and then it just sort of break out into some like nonsense offense, no defense.
Well, you look at the Dolphins on Sunday. That first half, Jay Cutler, oh my God, you are killing me. And for the past 2 weeks, you've got Dolphins fans screaming, we want more. One, Dolphins fans never screamed that. You do not
more
want
Jay Cutler. They want more Jay Cutler.
Thing is, I wish they were saying that. And yet, half time comes, Jay Cutler comes out, and the Dolphins are moving the ball like it's Tom Brady and the Patriots. Now, you could argue that the run game really got going, and there's a bit of luck in terms of penalties and stuff like that. But the game is now so drive to drive, quarter to quarter. You could be amazing in the first quarter and ridiculous in the second quarter. Come back out in the third and look amazing again. People like Ryan Fitzpatrick and veteran quarterbacks. Yeah, and exactly. He comes in on Sunday and looks good, and you're there going, how?
Just grinds. I think grinds my gears to use a really stupid phrase. It's just how the defense is like that Saints and Lions game, and then again in the Arizona Tampa Bay game. Just shut teams out. Stop scoring. Like there's so many like near comebacks where teams are up 35-7 and it ends up being like 35-31.
Yeah,
it's just bizarre. Why are teams like? I don't understand how teams can't keep up with dominance even for games, or often too much to ask. It's bizarre. It's really bizarre. I mean, having said all this, and this is why Belichick is just such a master, because he's coaching at a time almost where game management and coaching is so important, just because there's just such a mediocrity throughout the league that when it comes to playoff time, you rise above.
Yeah.
Someone else. Teams can't really, through parity and salary cap for whatever reason, they can't create a great offense and a great defense. They're often look at the Seahawks. They've kept all their defensive players together, but therefore they're like scrapping around on the offensive line, and they've got a revolving door of bad running backs at the moment.
Would you say part of the problem is it's now the NFL is basically copying the college game, and I say that in the sense that you're getting more and more young quarterbacks, and I think previously where teams were giving them time to adjust the NFL and giving them red shirts years and slowly developing them into an NFL playbook, now they're basically being drafted and from week one saying, okay, we're not going to give you an NFL playbook, we'll give you a kind of gimmicky college playbook, and then before you know it, they're 3 years in the NFL still using that gimmicky college playbook. It's why people like Bill Lazor is still around. Bill Lazor goes to the Bengals, Andy Dalton looks better, but at the same time it's because it's all 3-4 yard screens and slants and
one read.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you're basically not making Andy Dalton look good, you're making him look dumb. And your thoughts, I guess, on that.
I think some of it stems from you've made it easier to pass the ball, but what it's actually done is it's made coaches take all the risk. That interception. Everyone talks about how the QB quarterback play has been terrible this year. Interception rate is still the lowest it's historically ever been. We're still seeing more passes thrown than we ever have. The problem is just that offensive coaches have just now, sort of withdrawn themselves into this risk-free type of tactic and strategy. So you're only ever getting a quarterback to do one read, check down, bubble screen, so this stuff, and everyone seems to be doing it. Therefore, I was thinking this from when Matt Ryan was drafted. I can't think of, and I know Luck's been out injured and stuff, but I can't think of another quarterback who has any sort of proper old school franchise consistency with his play since he was drafted. Flacco onwards. Wilson's sort of like a winner, and he does enough in games, but he's not your classic sort of quarterback really. But beyond that, even Cam Newton, he's good for 3 games. He's rubbish for 3 games. He's average for 3 games. He's quite good for 3 games. We're sitting around going, this is the year for Winston and Mariota. This will be their year. Doesn't ever really come. The NFL's kind of a problem because Rodgers and Brady and Breeze and Roethlisberger, they're getting older and older, and we're going to end up with just 32 teams with these 32 quarterbacks.
Yeah, very quickly.
Really conservative sort of game. They're not throwing interceptions, but they're not really sort of making you get excited or know that you can watch them every week, and they're going to be sort of dominating or throwing playing in an exciting sort of way. It will still be this sort of conservative, college light approach.
Bit of breaking news from 20 minutes ago.
So not breaking. Yeah.
Well, it was okay, apologies, sorry. Andrew Luck has soreness in his shoulder and won't be practicing this week. It's a setback for the quarterback. So, yay, Colts. Still be bang average, I guess, but oh well.
Yeah, and Brissett's nice, but he's just another one of those sort of, you're quite a nice player, you're quite good, you're all right, you're quite good some drives, you're not very good some other drives, you're quite conservative generally, you run a bit, but yeah, I don't know, yeah, I just really struggled with that Monday night game. It's really quite hard to watch.
They've been a difficult team to kind of watch all season, really.
The Colts?
Yeah.
There's just a bit of a sadness about them, really. There's sadness with Pagano. There's a sadness with Luck, just when he was drafted, it was I can't believe they've just drafted another Manning. He's going to be amazing stuff. And then through injury and bad offensive lines and bad drafting and bad defense, it's just his career sort of stalled at the moment.
Yeah, it's a shame, a real shame, because he's obviously a very good player.
Yeah.
So let's do a quick run through of the games that can be on Sky this Sunday and how we think it'll go for the teams. Obviously, we discussed Cardinals and Rams already. That obviously kicks off at 6 p.m, which always confuses me anyway because I'm too used to the games being in the afternoon. The next game after that's going to be Seattle Seahawks at MetLife in New Jersey to face the New York Giants, which kicks off at 9 p.m. And then finally, the late night game on Sunday, or super early as we would say, is meant to be a Super Bowl rematch. I hate that term, but sure. Falcons facing New England Patriots. Let's start with the Seattle game. Who do you think is going to take the victory and why?
Seahawks.
Good
but
choice.
the thing is, it's weird. The Seahawks are so hit and miss at the moment. No offense, Liz. I just don't know what you're going to get from them from week in, week out. And part of the problem is how bad are the offensive line going to be. If they're going to be mediocre, then they should be okay. If they're going to be what they're normally bad, then Wilson is going to be running around trying to get anything going. And after the Giants win last week, you're now thinking, well, the Giants can clearly win without wide receivers and players, basically.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Just go back to our last point. the Giants, who just had a terrible season, going in and playing the Broncos, who are supposed to be one of the better teams in the NFL, in their home, and the Broncos just can't get anything going at all. And the Giants sort of do enough and look quite nice, but sort of run against this supposedly really good Broncos run defense. Sorry, I'm just butting in.
No, it's fine. Yeah, so I think, back to our earlier topic, you just don't know who's going to win anymore, because at any moment a team can come out and lay a complete egg, and you're like, okay, did not see that coming. So I'm going to go Seahawks because logic says that the Giants won't win another game with no wide receivers and all the turmoil under Ben McAdoo and this whole thing with DRC and Eli Apple. But if the Giants, shut out the Seahawks and win comfortably, I wouldn't be surprised. I'll just go, yep, that's NFL for you in 2017.
Is this the first time Seahawks have been back to MetLife since they won the Super Bowl? Or have they played the Jets in MetLife? I can't think.
I don't think they...
Can't remember.
Actually, they might have played them last season.
It's quite a long time ago. Yeah, they probably haven't they? I mean, this is offensive line bowl. This is, isn't it? This is like which offensive line is going to be worst? Obviously, Russell Wilson's better at getting out of those problems than Eli Manning is. I think this is where the Seahawks start going through the gears a little bit. And they just need to get a consistent running game going. If they can just start to get some running game, I think everything starts to fall into place more. Wilson then got that double run threat every play. He was looking really good. Baldwin and him were really syncing up well against the Rams in their last game. The defense has looked a bit mixed so far, although Sheldon Richardson showed up finally against the Rams. And I know it's West Coast going to East, isn't it? This is sort of like this is like the toughest way round, isn't it? Flying from the West Coast to the East Coast, but it is a late afternoon game, so not as bad. But I think the Seahawks can win quite comfortably in this game. I've just realised that the Twickenham game is Amazon Prime All or Nothing Bowl, isn't it? Cardinals Rams the last two seasons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So people sort of feel quite familiar with those two teams in a way, don't they? So.
Yeah, well, to be honest, it was through All or Nothing that I came to like Cardinals, just because I kind of feel with that show and with Hard Knocks, you sort of learn more about the players' personalities and you come to like those individuals. So yeah, I do kind of like that for that. And I do like Cardinals because of that exact reason. Rams I'm not so bothered about, but it's because I couldn't really watch it.
I don't know, I think the Rams are a lot more enjoyable to watch this season.
They're impressive this season.
McVay's got something going a bit on offense. So a lot of it goes through Gurley, but there is some interesting passing concepts in there as well. And he threw for nearly 300, got through for nearly 300 yards against the Seahawks. Didn't really have the points to show it, but yeah, I think the Rams are quite a good fun watch. They're not like the Jeff Fisher years by any means.
Yeah, definitely. And then finally, Falcons Patriots. Do you think the Falcons will get the win that they should have got in February, or do you think it's going to be a bad second half again?
Yeah. I think especially the Falcons coming off last week, and I think this for the Patriots starts to kick on. And it's all about for the Patriots. It's all about November, December, isn't it? Normally, that's when they're unstoppable. And it's a bit early for that, but. And nothing's convinced me yet watching the Patriots, but it doesn't really need to. They're just sort of finding their way, and the defense has looked a bit better the last two games than it did do at the start of the season. It's in Foxborough. I don't really. And another thing, it sort of feels like the Falcons' offense at the start of the season. They sort of rode the Kyle Shanahan thing sort of through, but it almost feels like they're sort of tailing off now in the middle of the season from their offensive sort of explosive way of playing last year, and yeah, I think that Patriots defense is going to start to get better and better, especially the secondary. So I think it's going to be. I think it'll be a Patriots win, maybe a Patriots win comfortably.
Yeah, I think a Patriots win. From watching the Falcons on Sunday, they just hit a brick wall. And not just saying this as a Dolphins fan, but that Dolphins defensive line was so dominant in the second half. The pressure that Sue and Wake were getting was an absolute joke. Now, obviously, the Patriots don't have that much of a pass rush, but if they can get one going, you can get the Falcons. And I know there'll be so much talk about the Falcons saying, we put Super Bowl behind us, etc., etc. But you can't. Once you're playing the Patriots and you're seeing them in front of you, you will be thinking, oh crap, we blew a massive lead. And I think once that gets into their head, it's going to be difficult. And I think they'll try and overcompensate and, maybe run the ball a bit more because they didn't run it enough in the Super Bowl, or Matt Ryan might try and show that he can beat the Patriots and start throwing picks for fun. So I'm going to go over Patriots win.
The Patriots really dominated the Falcons in the Super Bowl as well. Even in the first half, they out-yarded them, didn't outscore them, but they were moving the ball at ease. So it's sort of the score and the way the whole scoring went was a little bit sort of slight lie, gave a sort of false impression to actually how that game flowed. Anyway, so yeah, I think it's the Patriots.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think I unfortunately have to agree. I would love to see Falcons win it, but yeah, like you say, Patriots just seem to get this and always seem to get the victory, and maybe they shouldn't have it. So let's talk about the Jets Patriots from last week, because but a lot of people are that the touchdown that was then ruled by Sferin Jenkins, a touchdown that was then ruled a touchback because he'd lost control of it. Now I think it was a harsh call. It was a really harsh call at the time, but there's loads of people now talking about, the competitions committee, they'll just need to change the touchback rule. It's too unfair that you fumble it through the end zone and it goes to the other team. Yeah.
And this just winds me up again, because it's just another thing where people will see a slight disadvantage for an offense. Like, a rule doesn't go for the offense. It's like, kill it. Let's change the rules. Give it to the offense back on the 1 yard line if they fumble it through the end zone. It's like, can the defense not just have one rule that slightly favours them? And every time this happens, Mike Florio and Pro Football Talks right in there going, the worst rule in the NFL's reared its head again. It's like, it's not the worst rule. It's sort of what happens in territorial sports. If I kick the ball out of play for a goal kick, I don't go, it should really be a corner. I should get a corner. It's just like part of, kick the ball out. You kicked it beyond the goal line or whatever. It's a touchback. And rugby's the same. It's a kick out from the halfway line, I think.
Yeah.
Basketball's the same. I don't get to keep the ball because I've lost control of it. It's gone behind the goal line, or the basket, whatever it's called. So that's what winds me up. Because it winds me up especially because no one's talking about Jamal Adams getting an unfair pass interference call against him in that game. Which brought it was 14-0 at the time, and it brought the Patriots to the 1 yard line. It's like, oh well, what are you going to do? Yeah, bad pass interference calls again. But this rule that happens twice, 3 times a season, change it. It's weird how we're putting up with pass interference. It's just the worst rule because it's so badly enforced and so inconsistently enforced, and yet people would jump up and down because the touchback rule feels like it's a bit unfair for the offense, even though you can have great plays like Earl Thomas when he knocked the ball out of Curly's hand 2 weeks ago, right by the goal line, and then it was a touchback and the Seahawks got the ball back. It can bring about great defensive play. Anyway, another rant over. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I have more breaking news.
Go on.
Whoa, this is like a breaking news show. What is it now?
This is bad news for Seahawks fans.
No.
Cliff Avril is going on IR. But Rappaport says that he might retire.
No.
So
wow.
Yeah,
interesting.
Pete Carroll says he's seen a bunch of doctors, seriously looking at a big decision, and Rappaport says he's weighing retirement.
Kadeem, are you just scrolling through Twitter when I'm ranting? You're just bored, like turn my ears off. This is boring. Scroll through. Oh, more breaking news. Yeah,
not at all.
Still got his torch shot.
I'm not. Well, as mentioned as a United fan, we are playing right now, and I'm not watching it. So I'm making sure United have it, because it's still 1-0 United, minutes left, and as I'm looking at the United score, I'm like, oh, there's some NFL news as well. Oh, look, NFL podcast. I might as well break it. So
perfect. Well done.
Well, we appreciate your multitasking and the fact you're missing a United game right now.
Well, are you going to Twickenham? Are you going to Twickenham for work or for pleasure, Kadeen?
I don't do NFL games for work because because I kind of want to go there and just drink all day and enjoy myself. The only one I was going to do for work was the Dolphins one, but that would have been too
painful.
See Kiko Alonso. So
did you go to Twickenham last year?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Oh, that was a bad time. Right before the game, that sort of the pre-game stuff was just so bad. I mean, I had my 4-year-old with me. It was just me and my 4-year-old, but it was just so cramped and stuff. And the lines for the food was a nightmare. You know, they brought in like gourmet. You know, you used to just get burger vans, but now you get like gourmet burgers, gourmet. This and stuff. The problem is, it takes 5 minutes. Also, it's so expensive, and it takes 5 minutes for one person to get served. So you end up with these massive queues around the stadium, sort of like a different angle to where everyone's trying to walk round to their block in the stadium. It was just creates a complete nightmare. So apparently they've made it bigger and better this year, but we will see.
I can't swear, but go away. There's no way it's going to be bigger and better.
You can't really make it bigger around Twickenham. It's sort of like the space is what it is.
Yeah, you can't knock down. You can't move a house. Say, can we move your house for this weekend? It's because it's a 6 o'clock kickoff. I'm going to probably eat before I leave, and then just like snack while I'm down
drink, liquid dinner.
100%. And also, I'm off for the week because Monday is my birthday, so I am going to get so drunk. It's going to be so much.
How old are you going to be? To make me feel sad. How old are you going to be?
How old do you think I'm going to be?
28.
Oh, great shout, young. I'm 28 on Monday.
Yeah, people tell me their age. I remember it.
28 on Monday.
Well, happy birthday for Monday.
Yeah, happy birthday. I hope the Jets give you a New York win on Sunday to celebrate.
Why would you do that for? Like, it's going so well. Why would you go there?
Yeah. It might happen. It might not. Everyone's mediocre.
Yeah.
Who knows? Won't mean anything. Everyone will be 8-8.
I'll take a Kiko Alonso pick 6 to win the game.
It could happen.
That could definitely happen.
Right, well that's it for this week's podcast. Thanks to those who tuned in. Please do share any comments or feedback with us on Twitter at 99yards. A huge thank you to Jono and Kadeem again for joining me and discussing the latest of the game. Thanks for listening.